You did everything right. You followed the gospel of the modern age. You found that thing, that one beautiful hobby that made the world melt away. The hours you spent painting, writing, coding, or composing were not work. They were a sanctuary. They were the truest expression of you. And then you heard the whisper, the siren song of the digital marketplace. You should sell this. You could monetize this. Follow your passion. So you did. You built the website. You started the Instagram account. You learned about algorithms, engagement metrics, and content calendars. You turned your sacred space into a side hustle. And now you are here, staring at a blank canvas or a blinking cursor, not with excitement, but with a cold, hollow dread. The love is gone. The joy has been replaced by the gnawing anxiety of a second job you never wanted. You feel like a failure, broken. Let me be clear, that feeling is not failure. It is a warning sign. It is a distress flare fired from the deepest, most honest part of your soul. You are not broken. You are responding perfectly to a broken system. You have not failed your passion. You have been tricked into sacrificing it on the altar of a profoundly dangerous lie. The lie is as simple as it is seductive. You must monetize everything you love. It's the foundational myth of the creator economy, the gig worker's catechism. We see the success stories, the 1% who turned their passion for video games or baking into a 7-figure empire, and we are told this is the new path to freedom. Yet, for every one of them, there are thousands, millions, like you, feeling trapped, burnt out, and mourning the loss of something precious they can't even name. This is not an accident. This is an epidemic of the spirit, engineered by a culture that can only see value in what can be measured, packaged, and sold. It has mistaken profit for purpose. So I ask you, what if the very advice meant to liberate you was designed to imprison you? What if follow your passion was the most effective trap ever conceived for the creative soul? To understand the mechanics of this prison, you must turn to a man who saw its foundations being laid over a century ago. A prophet who wielded his philosophy like a hammer to shatter illusions, Friedrich Nietzsche. He would not look at your situation with pity, but with a clarifying, terrible recognition. He knew that the human spirit does not seek comfort. It seeks to overcome. It craves struggle. Nietzsche's core concept of the will to power has been grotesquely misunderstood. It is not about dominating others. It is the fundamental drive within you to overcome resistance, to grow, to master yourself, and to impose your will upon your own chaos to create something beautiful. It is the joy of the climb, not the view from the summit. It is found in the struggle itself. Here is the uncomfortable truth Nietzsche exposes. Your passion was your mountain. Your hobby was your chosen battlefield for this sacred struggle. The hours you spent learning a difficult chord, mastering a brushstroke, or perfecting a line of code were non-instrumental. You did them not for money, not for likes, not for validation. You did them for the raw, electric feeling of overcoming. You did them for their own sake. The moment you monetized it, you betrayed this sacred pact. You took your mountain and flattened it into a marketplace. You replaced the noble struggle of self-overcoming with the degrading hustle for external approval. The question was no longer, can I make this better? Can I push myself further? It became, will they like this? Will this sell? Will the algorithm favor this? This is the source of your dread. You have not lost your passion, you have instrumentalized it. You have turned a source of intrinsic power into a tool for extrinsic gain. You have taken an activity that nourished your soul and forced it to feed the market. And the market is a hungry, indifferent god. It does not care about your growth, only your output. Let's reframe your pain. You do not have a time management problem. You have a meaning management problem. That feeling of burnout is not a sign of weakness. It is the cry of your spirit being suffocated by the trivial demands of commerce. It's the righteous anger of your will to power, which signed up for a glorious battle and was instead handed a spreadsheet and a sales target. Look around you. This is not a glitch in the system. This is the system working perfectly. The writer who chases trending topics instead of uncomfortable truths. The musician who crafts 15-second earworms for TikTok instead of composing a symphony. The artist who mass-produces the one style that sold well on Etsy. They are all prisoners in the same gilded cage. They have exchanged the sword of creation for the begging bowl of validation. But the lie goes even deeper than that. The deception is not just that you've been tricked into selling your soul. It's that you have been meticulously conditioned to believe this is the only path to a worthwhile life. You have been programmed to see your own passions not as a refuge, but as an undeveloped asset. Here, we must turn to a modern diagnostician, a calm voice cutting through the noise of our frantic work culture, Cal Newport. Newport delivers a cold, hard dose of reality. His research reveals that the passion hypothesis, the idea that you should first find your pre-existing passion and then build a life around it, is a historical anomaly. It's a modern and deeply flawed invention. Newport's warning is stark. Passion is a terrible guide for your career. It's fickle, hard to identify, and often leads people down paths of instability and disappointment. The societal script tells you to look inward for a magical feeling, but Newport argues that true, lasting passion is not something you find. It is something you build. It is the consequence of hard work, not the catalyst for it. Think about it. The most passionate people you know are almost always those who are exceptionally good at what they do. A master carpenter, a brilliant surgeon, a seasoned programmer. Their passion didn't come first. What came first was the grueling process of acquiring rare and valuable skills. The passion grew out of their competence, their autonomy, and the impact they could have because of that competence. Now, connect this to the lie. Why does the system sell you the passion hypothesis instead of the craftsman mindset? Because the passion hypothesis keeps you perpetually dissatisfied. It turns you into a frantic consumer of self-help books, online courses, and career coaching, always searching for the one thing you're meant to do. It keeps you docile and easy to manage. The craftsman mindset, on the other hand, is a threat. It requires patience, discipline, and a focus on creating real value. It can't be easily packaged and sold. It's a slow, deliberate, and deeply personal process. The system doesn't want you to become a craftsman. It wants you to be a passion seeker, a gig worker, a hustler, always desperate, always dependent on the next trend, the next platform, the next sale. Let's reframe this deception. You weren't following your passion. You were following a marketing slogan designed to make you a better consumer. That anxiety you feel isn't a sign you chose the wrong hobby to monetize. It's the existential vertigo of realizing you were sold the wrong map to life itself. Your struggle is not only predictable, it has been engineered. This realization should not lead you to despair. It should fill you with a cold, righteous clarity. Your pain is not your fault. You are not a machine that has malfunctioned. You are a human being who has been fed poison. And the first step to healing is to stop drinking it. So what do you do once you have seen through the lie? How do you escape this trap that has been so carefully constructed around you? The answer is not to find a better passion to monetize. The answer is not another hustle. The answer is an act of radical rebellion. You must build a sanctuary. You must learn to protect the sacred from the marketplace. This is the antidote. You must consciously and deliberately create a walled garden in your life. A space, an activity, a practice that is completely and utterly shielded from the demands of the market. shielded from the demands of the market. It has no business plan, it has no growth strategy. It does not need to justify its existence through productivity or profit. Its purpose is its own existence. You paint that canvas and you hang it on your own wall, or you hide it in a closet. You write that short story and you show it to no one. You learn that piece of music on the guitar simply for the joy of hearing the notes ring out in your quiet room. You go for a hike without tracking your steps or posting a photo. This is not an act of failure or giving up. This is the highest act of spiritual warfare in an age of total commodification. It is a declaration of inner sovereignty. It is you looking the ravenous market in the eye and saying, "You can have my labor, you can have my time, but you cannot have my soul. This part of me is not for sale." Embrace the forgotten noble title of the amateur. The amateur acts not for payment or for fame, but for love. Reclaim this word. Let it be your armor against a world that demands you price tag your joy. To be a fierce and unapologetic amateur in one corner of your life is to be free. This does not mean you must quit your job or abandon all ambition, not at all. You can still pursue excellence in your career, perhaps using Newport's craftsman approach. But that career must not be allowed to cannibalize your spirit. The sacred enclosure is what allows you to engage with the market without being devoured by it. The choice, as always, is yours. You have seen the architecture of the lie and the blueprint of the prison. You can continue to hustle, to perform, to feed your spirit into the algorithm in the desperate hope of a scrap of validation. You can continue down the path of burnout, anxiety, and quiet mourning for a love you once had. Or you can choose rebellion. The world will not save you. The system benefits from your exhaustion and your distraction. It thrives on your belief that your self-worth is tied to your productivity. The act of reclaiming a part of your life as sacred and useless to the market is the most potent form of resistance you have. This path is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires you to fight the constant internal and external pressure to perform, to share, to monetize. Your rebellion will not be televised. It will be the quiet closing of a laptop. It will be the deliberate act of creating something beautiful that no one else will ever see. It will be the silent, joyful, and defiant protection of your own soul. So build your wall, guard your garden, relearn how to play, stop trying to sell your joy and start protecting it with your life. Because a soul that has nothing sacred is a soul that is already sold. And a life where everything is for sale is a life that is ultimately worth nothing. This is the end of the lie.